Morning. Now, I've been up Sherwood thousands of times, really. And I can honestly say that I know every sort of ridge and furrow, every bush, and every tree, and can't remember that tree. Some places it's incredibly sparse now. And there's one thing that does it, and I've always said it, it's overgrazed. Far too overgrazed. Nice day at Girton. Nearly said Gunthorpe then. Sun's been out. I'm back at Sherwood Forest Country Park. I'm back in the north-east corner of Sherwood Forest Country Park, where it joins and runs alongside the Swinecote Road that comes out of Edwinstone. My intentions were to look for harvestmans. Harvestmans? What's fucking harvestmans? Now in the centre of Elmwood, and once again the centre of the bluebells is fantastic. Evening, people often say to me, I say, Trev, why do you keep going to the same place every time? I say, well, it's never the same. Certainly if you look closely enough, it's never the same. And the light tonight is fantastic. Some fantastic evening sun. Dark clouds, sunshine, lot of blue sky. What's not to like? You could probably stand on this little path for a week and never see anybody. I like paths like these. Even though it's at the side of the Swinecote Road. What's a fucking road? Little video of Adelarine Morella. This is a male, and they have a ridiculously long antenna, and often given the common name of longhorn moths. Trouble is, there's numerous species of longhorn moths. It just shows the uselessness of my photography. Afternoon it is now. Come across this nice little clearing. Tree pipit there. Might start singing in a minute. Sort of. Yeah, we're in the middle, sort of midway between Lady Anne's Drive and Hanger Hill Plantation and Holborn Hill Plantation and Budby. Now, I must admit, this little section here is somewhere that I haven't actually been before, which is unusual in the forest. I'm on the trail or something today. Not the low. Sorry about the noise, but one of the joys of invertebrates, or having an interest in invertebrates, is that they can get anywhere. Evening time at Eakring. Parked up at the top of Red Hill. Hopefully away from the traffic. I'm not on the road. Just watching the sun go down. Evening. Or should I say night? It's about 11:30. Animal clips and all quarter. Sometimes wonder why I do these things. But listen. Oh, baby Dawny. Young Tawny Owl went to the left of him. An adult over to the right and behind me. But it's a lovely night. Still as the grave. Well, recently did a video featuring some facts. I'm hoping in a second or two, broad-bordered beortmoth, which is about 4 feet to my right, next in on bluebells, will come onto this clump. But it doesn't seem to want to at the moment. Oh, it does. Look at that. June the 3rd. Finally had the first glowworm of the year. This is a female found just at the top of J. Just walking down, and if I move it, yeah, I know it's not the best of videos, but now she's turned round. But you've got an insect that can create its own light. They've been very confiding. It's getting a bit late for grizzled skippers, really, in a normal year. But this is far from being a normal year. Let's try and get... Off it goes. Where am I? Saxondale. It's a wonderful sound. I'm not bothered about him. Here's a cracking thing, look. Because it's yellow black banded with a white end to the abdomen, doesn't mean it's a bee. It's not a bumblebee. This is a fly, in particular hoverfly, and one of our largest species. Perfectly harmless, obviously feeding off salts. This is Volocella bombilans. Cracking thing. If I do come later in the summer, I'll certainly be looking for it. But this Spanish garden is quite representative of much of Newstead Abbey, or at least the grounds. I think all the emphasis is given over to the house and the abbey itself. The abbey, what's... What a 300 or 400 yards up Sherwood Heath, and it still lights it up. It's just such a waste of electricity this time of night. We don't need it. I mean, here, for instance, there's nobody about. You're not going to get anybody about. Only me. So why do we just waste electricity. We overlight everything up. Well, ain't that a bogger? I've found a little spot. That's not half bad, is it? Here's a stunning thing. And those living in Warsop will know exactly where I am. Well, if you have any idea about butterflies, I'm on Hills and Holes, where these were presumably released a number of years ago and have done brilliantly since. And this nightjar's about 50 yards in front of me. I think it's in that tree, just 8 o'clock from the moon. It's approaching 2, and one of the hoped for species has turned up. A huge pine hawk moth. A beautiful summer's morning. Warsop's very quiet for 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. This is not a common butterfly in Nottinghamshire, although over the years records from across the county have been fairly widespread. This is never a butterfly seen annually. Admittedly, only a few years have seen no clouded yellows, and mostly in many years utter load of bollocks again. We'll just have a look towards the top of this oak. There's a purple air streak flutters around. Purple emperors and the males. They sit at the top of large trees. There's a nice find. In the 1980s, when I was breeding moths, trying to find these was always difficult. Poplar hawks you could find by the dozen, whether it was larva or pupa. But eyed hawks, or eyed hawk moths, should I say, I could never find. And found one. The leaf that's in the centre, look, if you look at sort of the top right hand corner, there is the purple emperor egg. Ever think about how many grains, individual grains of barley there are in a field? It's just above her. Coming into view now. Working out exactly where she is. She is there. Female vapour moths are wingless, where the males are a beautiful, attractive sort of fulvous brown with white spots on. And I see him flying around in the day. Now he's found the cocoon and he's found her. He's just got to get the right end. Which he has. Grubbing again. You might see a lot of this if you're planning to look for broad-bordered peahawk moth. Providing there's still some old leaves on your honeysuckle, you can still do it. But it is something that can be done throughout the summer. You don't have to wait till the spring. But these holes are the characteristic bollocks. For a Coletes, this is large. And there's a honeybee just at the back there in the top right hand corner. Grubbing time. Just had a little look along the path edges, and I think I've just come in away from the path. Try and find some heather to lift where it's dry underneath. The trouble is with a major oak is the people. But that's what people come to see. And this is it. And this is a male. Greatness, and you can see how black it is underneath. An adult male. Females are much broader on the abdomen. And it was just, let's just put a top on this. 4 bloody days. Well, right at the start of it, and it was in here. I lifted this heather up here and looked in there, and it was just sat in that little bit of leaf litter. I keep telling people that my drinks evaporate every time I hold it up near the sun. And people don't believe me, but watch. Told you. Now that's some fabulous sunset and a fabulous backdrop to be moth trapping. I'm back at Eakring at the side of Lound Wood for the first time since 2014. It's quite nice, isn't it? A very photogenic red apple. Pausing on this ivy to have a feed. One of 3 that's here that I can see. What a stonking butterfly. Is it me or is it crowded here? Now here's somewhere you've not seen me before. I love garden centres because strange things can turn up. And something has at this one. Well, the old saying, it's all at your court now, is quite apt. Spider time. Who lives in a web like this? The answer is this little beauty. This is a super and extremely well marked false widow. You have to admit, this is a stonking moth. Even on the ground, it's a nice view. An unspoiled view. Not anymore, it didn't. I don't think I'm wandering anywhere today. I'm having a day off. But I've got something to show you in here. And that's who lives in this tree. Hornets. At last, a bit of sunlight. And sunlight bringing out the best in this area of Cookney Haywood. It's a bit dark this evening, and as you might have gathered now by the wind, I'm not indoors. But where am I? I'm here. Beautiful that. The autumn's a great time for appreciating what most of the year is a very unobtrusive and innocuous shrub. This is spindle. It's a wonder I'm not on fire, you know, at the moment. I'm in Derbyshire. Don't tell them, for goodness sake. And it takes some getting to because it's surrounded by some quickly developing bramble. Want to see it? This is one of the finest examples of veterinisation that is occurring within the country park. It's a stonker. Told you it was good dinner. There is no need for this nonsense at all. I didn't think this would hang around like this. What a stunner. This is the Gleethorpe Open in Sherwood Forest within the country park, and that's a noisy bastard dog. Pretty noisy for me, isn't it, this? This is New Baseford in Nottingham. And I've come to have a look at a wall. I intended to have a decent little walk around today, and then I heard that. I think it's our glorious Forestry Commission, or Forestry England, now that they've rebranded themselves. I suppose it makes them sound more green, like that woodpecker. But it really is a beautiful moth, and a classic case of what moths lack in gaudy coloration of butterflies, they make up for in the intricacies within the wing markings. And the best thing to warm up, whiskey. So I think it's time and had a cup of tea. Didn't expect that one, did you? But in an age when we should be looking after our trees, we're quick to tell everybody else what to do with their trees. Don't chop your forest down. Don't cut your jungle down. We're doing it, so you can't blame other people for doing it. Listen, that's a raven. I realise this shot might be a bit breezy, but what a fabulous view. I hope they put that fire out. As a species, we think we're so clever that we can chop a tree down in 5 minutes, when it's took that tree upwards of 100 years to get to that size. and we can chop it down like that. What a wonderful species we are. Just look at this mix of two seasons. You've got these rich, almost raspberry coloured leaves are on a clear bramble, topped by the snow and the ice crystals, which are fast starting to melt. Doesn't it remind you of a rather portly gentleman who rides around at Christmas? Those days of youth. But on the plus side, these older days are quite nice. When it's like this, and I've pretty much got the forest to myself. I don't intend to be unsociable, but I do like it. I've decided on something. I'm going to show you my conkers.